Hi, welcome to Real Estate with Beth and Ben. I'm Beth Riebensdorf, founder of the Reedy Homes team.
And I'm Benjamin Gottlieb, founder of the law firm McQueen & Gottlieb.
Okay, today's topic, Ben, is short-term rentals. And we have a lot of clients coming, especially to the Scottsdale area. And I have shared with you that Scottsdale has on their website several things that affect short-term rentals. One of them is it limits the number of occupancy for a rental or just habitating to 6 adults. And the second one is if you have like a guest house or something that's been converted to an additional dwelling unit, that you must rent them all together. And so I'm going to tee that up and tell us about that because we've got some concerned clients out there.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me here, Beth. It's great to be here again. The short-term rental space here in Arizona, ever since about 6 years ago when that state law was passed, it's been incredibly controversial, and that controversy hasn't lessened at all. If anything, it's only heightened over the years. Consequently, we're constantly seeing a new flow of legislative bills on how to regulate short-term rentals.
New ordinances from the city.
We're seeing new ordinances all the time, and then we're seeing a lot of litigation trying to invalidate the codes and ordinances. We're seeing people trying to enforce CC&Rs to get people to stop operating their short-term rental, and so there's a lot going on in this space, and there's been a lot of updates this year in the short-term rental space. One thing of note, Beth, as you point out, a lot of these cities are coming out with new codes, and what we saw earlier this year, which was really interesting, was the town of Paradise Valley. They had recently amended their code to, among other things, prohibit social gatherings
Of any type.
Of any type. And the Arizona Attorney General's office actually came down with an investigative opinion, and Arizona Attorney General's office concluded that prohibition on social gatherings violated Arizona state law. And so they actually struck that provision down as invalid. So that was sort of a not so subtle reminder to all of us that just because a city or town enacts a regulation on short-term rentals, it doesn't necessarily mean it complies with Arizona law. So it's a very interesting space right now.
And what was interesting about that is it was proactive. There wasn't a lawsuit, right? Nobody got sued.
Well, the Arizona Attorney General's office decided to investigate it. Obviously, there was a lot of controversy. People had raised red flags over various aspects of that.
Is that common?
Town ordinance. Yeah, it is, just due to how controversial this space is. I mean, you essentially have short-term rental investors that are relying on being able to continue to utilize their property as planned and trying to preserve their investment, and then you have this large faction of neighbors and other people that are really opposed to short-term rentals. They view them as nuisance-causing properties.
How about some of the things that we do know that are okay? So like the city of Scottsdale enacted a requirement if you have a short-term rental that you must identify a contact person that can show up within 60 minutes if there's ever a complaint. Is there any state law prohibiting that?
So that's an interesting one, Beth. I think that one's probably okay. I mean, there is a state law that permit the city or town to require the contact info of the actual owner so that the owner can't hide behind a lot of these complaints. And so I think for the most part, a town or city regulation that enforces that is most likely okay. The other interesting thing we've seen, Beth, this year are Arizona Supreme Court and Court of Appeals updates in this space. One in particular was the Callaway v. Calabria case. That came down a few months ago by the Arizona Supreme Court. But essentially, in short, what that opinion did is made it more difficult, or it's going to make it more difficult for HOAs to amend their CC&R provisions, their governing document provisions. The opinion itself wasn't about short-term rentals, but it clearly has a reach into the short-term rental space. And even real estate experts among themselves are disagreeing as to the exact scope and change of the Callaway opinion, but there's a lot of experts out there, including myself, that believe it's going to have a major impact on HOA's abilities to amend their CC&Rs to restrict short-term rentals. The main thing to remember is, when you get a new code or ordinance like we saw here in the city of Scottsdale, you're wondering how it may impact you. I think the first thing to do is to try to figure out that code or ordinance is even lawful under state law. And the best case example we saw of that was the town of Paradise Valley Code.
Yeah.